Are you ready for some art? Okay then, so let's just get this out of the way early on. This here is probably one of the best ever pieces of Warhammer art in the history of Warhammer 40,000. It's so good, I would love a poster of it on my wall. So what you have here is a fantastic painting of the Imperial Guard by one of Warhammer 40,000's most important artists, Mr. John Blanche. I think you've all heard of him. John Blanche is responsible for a lot of incredible pieces over the years and helped shape the entire Warhammer 40,000 universe. We have a lot to thank him for. The army you see before you are what are referred to as the Necromundan Spiders, the greatest of all Imperial Guard regiments in Warhammer 40,000. The Elysian D99 are close, but still, these guys are the top dogs. Just ask any Imperial Guard expert and they will agree. We know they are the Necromundan Spiders' 8th Regiment, as we can see it written on a couple of the banners. Although on one of them they've spelt it Necromundian. I wonder what happened with that I. I might have to look into that. I'll get my coat. The Necromundan Spiders have a cool look to them. The combination of those grey fatigues with the black and white tiger stripes with a big black flak jacket just looks so good. I've always wanted to do an army of these guys, but you can't really get the right sculpts. The current Cadians look nothing like them, and the old RTB07 plastic guardsmen are crazy expensive on the second-hand market. However, if you have any you don't want, let me know and I'll take them off your hands. Now every time I look at this piece, I feel that although the spider grunts look awesome, those officers also look bloody awesome. They have a sort of Napoleonic look to them, and I guess that's what they were going for in this era of Imperial Guard. I really like the officer with the gold breastplate. I think he looks fantastic, and I would love a miniature of it. Can anyone recommend a Warhammer figure that looks like that? In the background of this magnificent piece are a few interesting looking vehicles. A couple of them appear to be Titans, although a little strange looking compared to normal. The larger one there has a head which looks like it has multiple eyes, like a spider. Fitting considering the main focus of the piece are the spiders. Coincidence? No, I'm not sure. Also in my notes I've written the Titan is thinking of a rear, and I've no idea what that means, so let's move on. These Necromundan Spiders appear to be going up against one of Warhammer 40,000's most famous adversaries, Chaos Marines, or Chaos Renegades as they were known at the time. We know this as we can see a dead or sleeping one at the bottom left. Is this Marine based on any old miniatures? They usually are. Let us know if any of you recognise it. Also, I can't really tell which god this Marine might have been a fan of. It looks a bit Tzeentch-y, but it also has a claw, which is usually something Slaanesh likes to fiddle about with. You never could tell with some of these old Renegades or Chaos Space Marines in old miniatures and artwork. Some parts of them would look Tzeentchian, like a tentacle or something. And then another part of them might look rotten and Nurglified. Maybe these guys were just Chaos Undivided or something. Do you know of a way to tell for sure? Is this on? Hello, hello? Yes. Excuse me, why the long face?
Well, it's because I'm a horse. Nay!
What do you call two horses in stables next to each other? Neighbours! I'll get my coat again. So here we have some Imperial Guardsmen again. Two of them this time with horses, and are probably what we know as Rough Riders, mounted Imperial Guard. I'm not sure if an Imperial Guardsman on a motorbike could be considered a Rough Rider or what the rules are, so I do apologise for that. Anyway, this piece is by expert Warhammer 40,000 artist Paul Bonner. We're big fans of his here on the channel. These Rough Riders horses are what we like to think of as normal horses, as in the sort of horse you expect to see here on Earth. The ones the Death Corps of Krieg use though are different. They're some sort of mutant hybrids and have these bizarre looking chicken feet. Oh, and no tails I think. Well, they have little nubs. I wonder if they're just born short or if they're docked. Fun fact, when I was a lad, docking puppies' tails used to be a thing, especially on breeds like Jack Russells and Doberman, but I think it's since been outlawed. Rough Riders are known for their weapons, the famous hunting lance. These were big long lances with an exploding grenade tip on the end. You just run up to someone, poke them with it, and it would explode. Can you imagine an exploding jousting match? It would be great to watch. Also, on a side note, as a kid I thought the hunting lances would be useless, as once they exploded they were done. One-shot weapons. It never occurred to me they could carry spare grenade tips on their person and just reload them. Nah, the joys of youth. The Rough Riders are wearing your typical Rogue Trader era guardsman uniform. Hat, fatigues and flak jacket. A great look. A look which is a lot better than the greatcoat look of other lesser Imperial Guard regiments like the Valhallan Ice Warriors or aforementioned Death Corps of Krieg. Who'd want to be seen in battle wearing a dressing gown anyway? Now, have a look if you will at the gentleman standing on the left. Have a little glance at his legs. They look quite interesting, don't they? Now it might be the way the artist has drawn the folds in the cloth, but to me it looks like some sort of fungus. His legs are made of mushrooms. Maybe he stepped in some chaos. Disgusting. And here they come, the Peanut Butter Baldy Boys Club. Look how magnificent they are. 10 internet cookies if you're able to guess as to why they're the Peanut Butter Club. Well, have a look at those belts. They all have PB on them. Sadly, I'm unable to identify the artist responsible for this piece, so if you know, then please let us all know, because these things are important. I think, judging off the style, it's a Pete Knifton piece, but I cannot confirm this. So anyway, if you were unaware, the PB on their belts doesn't really stand for Peanut Butter or Party Boys. It actually means Penal Battalion. These guys were a battalion made out of penal troops, funnily enough. You know, criminals and the like. Along with their bald heads, which I assume was done as part of their punishment, all of these Peanut Butter Boys get explosive collars. You can see them around their necks. Where else would a collar be? Anyway, these collars are controlled by the top men elsewhere, and if one of these guys did something wrong, like try to run away or desert, then boom! They got popped. Nasty stuff. I've seen these explosive collars a few times in bits of media, mostly during the 90s. I suppose the one that sticks out the most to me was Cyber City Oedo 808, an anime show from the 90s. I thought it was amazing, and the music was mwah, chef's kiss. I thoroughly recommend giving it a watch.
Eat this, Dick Splash.
In Cyber City, the criminals could redeem themselves over time by helping out the police, reducing their sentences little by little. But when it comes to these penal squads, I think they might be stuck there forever, until they die in battle or have their collars popped. I'm not 100% sure though, I might be wrong. Now these penal troops are all equipped with las guns of the Rhinos pattern variety. Is there anything on there to stop them shooting their senior officers? Now, I know the collars act as a deterrent, but what's to actually stop them shooting things they shouldn't? Is there some sort of remote control lockout mechanism or something? I need to know. Rhinos pattern las guns have always been my favourite pattern of the las gun. purely just from the look of it. Now back in the day, both the Imperial Guard and the Squats used them. I think maybe the Gene Stealer cult did too. I would love to see the Rhinos pattern reimagined for modern miniatures. Unless it's already been done and I just haven't noticed it. Now if you fancy chatting lasgun patterns or anything else hobby related, then please feel free to come along and join us on our friendly Discord server, which is not behind a paywall. There's a link in the description below and I'll stick one up here for you too. We look forward to chatting to you there.
Pardon me, miss, but there appears to be a rather large housefly attached to my new Nurgle handbag. Can you remove it, please?
So this is an example of the heights of fashion in the warp in the 41st millennium. Nurgle's handbag. Would you wear any chaos themed items? Slanesh earrings perhaps? I think my ex-girlfriend had a pair of those. She had a massive pair of hoops. Anyway, this piece is by Tony Ackland. Now although we said this Nurgle item looks a bit like a handbag, to me it also looks like it could be a Nurgle themed croissant or a conch, as in the snail. People who have been following the channel for a long time will know that back in the day I actually used to own a conch, a real one, a live one. It was in the fish tank. I think it was a spider conch. It was a fantastic little critter. It did hardly ever used to come out though, so we set up cameras one night, one weekend, and had a 24-hour conch watch. That was a fun time. A long time ago though. Also, I wouldn't buy another one. Marine fish tanks just need far too much maintenance. The face on the conch appears to be based on that of a great unclean one, the Nurgle Greater Demon. Also, I've just noticed the gods only ever get one Greater Demon style. I feel there need to be more. As a kid, I thought Great Unclean Ones were pretty cool, but these days I find Nurgle to be very uncool, the least cool of all the Chaos gods. It's weird how that works, isn't it? Also, I didn't really used to like Khorne very much, but now I do. Slanesh has always been the best, and Tzeentch has always been middling. The fly in the middle there is doing the same pose that Thor was pulling in Infinity War when he had to make a new hammer. Infinity War was probably the last good MCU movie. I really liked that one. Some say Endgame was the best, but I found that one a bit lacking to be honest. None of them really seem to have been very good since. Can anyone tell me why? What happened with them? They used to be events. Now it's just slop and trash. Nurgle even. There are a lot of little tiny skulls dotted about on the handbag. Now I thought skulls were more of a Khorne thing than a Nurgle thing. Maybe it's some sort of crossover or collaboration piece. Thinking about it, have we ever had mixed demons that are a little of each, or are they always pure? I think some mixed ones might be interesting, to mix things up as it were. I hope you guys are hungry, because now it's time for a slice of epic. Much better than a slice of cake in my opinion. This wonderful piece is by Kev Walker. We've shown a few of his pieces here on the channel and we've loved all of them. This one is no different. This picture depicts an exciting action scene. We have a standoff between a Titan of the Warhound variety up against a pair of Space Marine or Imperial Guard Rhinos. Who do you think is the most likely to come out on top in this engagement? Let us all know in the comments below and tell us why. The Warhound Titan hails from a legio that we cannot identify. Well, when I say we, I mean I. There appears to be no identifying markings, logos, or any other clues on there that I can see. There is, however, something that looks like it might be a skull marking at the front, but it also might just be a shadow. Now, just like the Warhound they are up against, the Rhinos are also unidentifiable, as in who they're working for. They appear to be just generic grey. I think the correct in-universe term was Codex Grey. Although the picture is black and white, so of course they will be grey. If it was colour, we'd have a lot more clues to go from. Also, I see no logos or anything, so it's anybody's guess really. The little rhinos appear to have taken the Warhound Titan by surprise. Maybe they sneaked up on it. It doesn't seem to have noticed them yet, as it's not looking in their direction. However, when it does look at them, I think they are breakfast bread. In other words, toast. The combatants in this piece are fighting in an interesting looking environment. It's not your typical grasslands, but this time it's some sort of huge concrete walled area, like a city-sized Zone Mortalis. It actually reminds me a bit of a concrete version of the locations in Tron. I always liked the look of that movie, and here's hoping the next one will be good. I myself have always liked Tron and its associated universe, but I do feel that Disney are wasting it as an IP. The whole aesthetic of it just looks incredible to me, and I feel there's so much you could do with it. And thinking about it, why are there no Tron games? It's a movie based on sort of computer game imagery, and yet there's no games about it. The new movie, Tron Ares, I believe it's going to be called, starring Jared Leto, who everyone hates for some reason or another, is going to come out in the next year or so, I believe. I'm hoping that one will be good and stoke the fires of more Tron-themed media pieces going forward. Movies and games. And hopefully they will be good. Now, speaking of good, if you're enjoying this video, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. That means you, Jeff. If you are enjoying the content on the channel, then please consider joining us on Patreon, the link to which is in the description below or up here somewhere. Or you could even become a channel member, which is becoming all the rage these days. Again, there's a link to that in the description below. Or WAAAGH. Does anyone know what it actually means? Is it a word in the Orc language? Everybody uses it, and it's been around a long time. I just never really knew what it meant. It's obviously a war cry of sorts, but I just don't really get it, you know? So this picture depicts an orc, or a space orc as they were known at the time. Sadly, I'm unaware of who the artist responsible is, so if you know, then please let us all know in the comments below. Now, I do apologise, this picture is a little hard to make out. The contrast and definition is rather low. I did what I could to clean it up, but it's not perfect. Maybe I shouldn't have used it, but I do like to show you guys as much variety and weirdness as I can find. Please let me know if you find the image quality more important than the image itself. The orc here appears to be shouting, probably his usual catchphrase of WAAAGH, but it's also possible he's in pain and screaming from that. Do they shout anything else then? Just leave the W off WAAAGH and say AAAGH? Who knows? Now I have to say, I don't know which clan this here space orc hails from. There are no markings or clues to help tell us. However, back in the early days of Rogue Trader, we didn't have the famous clan system we know today. So this is probably just a generic, vanilla, unclanned pirate orc. Is there a name for orcs that have no clan? Scum, perhaps? I think the clans for the orcs came along a year or two later after the release of Rogue Trader. The orc at first glance appears to have a bionic eye, but I'm not sure if it actually is. The eye seems to be in the wrong position to replace the eye and seems too far off to the side, off centre as it were. Maybe this is a typical half-assed orc bionic eye, or it's a third eye, like the scanner thing on Terminator armour sometimes. Due to the lighting effects going on, it looks like there might be something exploding in his mouth. It reminds me of Lo Pan in Big Trouble in Little China, a fantastic movie. If you haven't seen that, you're missing out and need to go and watch it immediately.
And he just stands there waiting for me to drive my truck straight through him with light coming out of his mouth? Jack, please.
Some wonderful artwork there. If you want to see some more Oldhammer themed artwork, then check out the playlist up here somewhere. And as always, thank you very much for watching.